Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Monday edition of Hunt Palmer Show brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions from Radio Row in Tampa. SEC Media Days 2026. We're going to talk some LSU football here to start hour number 2. Spend some time talking about Kentucky as well as Tennessee. In the previous hour, we'll do a little bit on Oklahoma and Missouri later on, although LSU does not play those two teams, but they are the ones who are taking their turn on the microphones in front of the cameras earlier today. Josh Heupel had some interesting things to say about Lane Kiffin's re-return to Knoxville. We'll get to in our next segment. But let's talk LSU football. We're going position by position on the team. Started this last week. Have gone through the offense, started the defensive tackle on Friday. So let's go to defensive end. And I'll say this time last year, I was really, really, really bullish on LSU's edge play. I just had seen what Kevin Peoples did with Savion Jones and Braden Swinson the year previous, and I saw Patrick Payton coming in and Jack Pyburn coming in and Jamari Butler coming in, and I saw Gabriel Relaford growing up a year older, and I just thought, that guy's a great coach. He's got some talent coming in. They're going to be really, really good on the edges. And they weren't bad on the edges. They just weren't good. They were just okay. And you look back, and Gabriel Relaford got hurt. Patrick Payton had 1 sack and didn't get drafted. Jabari Butler had 2 sacks. Jack Pyburn had 2 sacks. LSU was 12th in the SEC in sacks per game. They were 13th in the SEC in tackles for loss per game. Blake Baker has made a career out of creating havoc, out of trying to create negative plays and trying to blow things up in opposing backfields. And LSU just did not play in opposing backfields last year. They were a sound defense. They were a solid defense. Marcel Reed got after him. Diego Pavia got after him. But they didn't make a lot of plays in the backfield, and their edge play just simply wasn't very good. Like, they were okay against the run. Payton and Pyburn combined for 86 tackles. But they did not have a sort of Marcus Hill, Marquise Spears type impact, a Sam Montgomery, Kiki Mingo type impact. I thought LSU was going to be really good on the edges, and they just weren't last year. So what does it look like this year? Well, Gabe Relaford got hurt last year, came back, and got hurt in the spring. Feel awful for Relaford, but he is likely to miss this entire season. Then you've got some other guys coming back. Dylan Carpenter's back. Kalaj Cobbins is back. Damian Shanklin's back. Those are depth pieces. But you went out and got 2 high-level SEC transfers in Prince William Unmielen from Ole Miss and Jordan Ross from Tennessee. You also got Jalen Brown from South Carolina. He did not play last year due to an injury. And then you've got a couple of young pups in Lamar Brown, 5-star, all-everything, National Player of the Year, and Trenton Henderson, who was a 4-star recruit from the Florida Panhandle. So you got a new cast of characters, and the hope is that you've got a better cast of characters. I think the floor on Prince William Unmielen is really, really high. I think he's going to be a productive player for LSU. I think he will be a pick for all SEC at this event, which doesn't mean anything. It's just talking season here. But he's going to be a guy that will threaten 8 to 10 sacks for LSU this season. I feel pretty confident about that. There is a thought inside the program that Jordan Ross is going to be a dude. My approach on Jordan Ross, and I said this a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about this, and I'll say it again when we get to fall camp in a couple of weeks. My approach on Jordan Ross is this. He is not Mr. 5-star. He is a guy that has never started a game, has 5.5 tackles for loss and a sack and a half in 2 years of football. A sack and a half in 2 years. So I'm taking Jordan Ross as the player that did not produce a ton at Tennessee, not the 5-star prospect that everybody wanted out of high school and that the NFL draft is looking at. You're looking at a guy who is on some way too early mock drafts for next spring. I mean, he looks the part. He's 6'5", he's 245. Like, he's about the same size as Prince William and we saw him out there in spring football. He looks the part, but he hasn't really done it. So that's what I'm waiting on from him. Mielon's done it. Ross, not as much. I looked at Pro Football Focus grades, and they like Ross. 77 overall, 72.7 against the run, 81.1 as a pass rusher. It's interesting to me that Jordan Ross has a pass rushing grade of 81.1, yet only has a sack and a half in his 2-year career. Those two things don't seem to go together. And I know that not everybody loves Pro Football Focus, but like it's something that I like to bring up. It's a talking point. We're in talking season, so it's a guy that's got a lot of potential. I just have a hard time. Maybe it's just because of the way last year went, where I was so wrong on LSU's edge guys, that I'm just being cautious and thinking that Ross hasn't really proven much of anything. Because most people, when they talk about Jordan Ross's team, they're going, oh, former 5-star, he's going to be a stud. Huge difference maker on the defense. I just can't quite get there yet. But hopefully I'm dead wrong. And then you got some depth behind those guys that I mentioned: Dylan Carpenter, Damian Shanklin, Kalaj Cobbins, Jalen Brown, who started at Missouri and then went to South Carolina and has come over with Sterling Lucas. He's huge, 6'6", 270. And then the question becomes, beyond those guys, how much does Lamar Brown help? And I just don't know the answer to that. He wasn't enrolled in the spring. He was at some of the practices, but he wasn't certainly participating. He wasn't enrolled in school yet. He was still at U High, not an early enrollee. So, like, how much does Lamar Brown help? And again, that's another one where you're going to hear a lot of people go, oh my God, 5-star, #1 player in the nation. He's going to be a stud. Well, playing on the defensive line as a freshman in the SEC is not easy. So I'm curious how much you're going to see from Richard Anderson on the interior and Lamar Brown on the edge. He's got the size, but it's a matter of the strength and the technical development that he goes through. I think at the edges, you're going to see Mielon play a ton. You're going to see Ross play a ton. I think you're then, beyond those two guys, going to see a little bit of depth. I think Dylan Carpenter plays a little bit, and I think Lamar Brown plays a little bit. How much just remains to be seen. LSU needs to impact the quarterback more than they did last year. Again, they were pretty solid as a defense, but they didn't rush the passer well. They didn't create negative plays well. They didn't blow up drives well. They were just kind of steady. They need to be more impactful, and I'm confident that Mielon is going to have more sacks than anybody LSU had on the edge last year. Perkins led the team in sacks, but nobody else on the edges really made a huge impact. Mielon's going to. If Ross develops into what he could be, then you've got two problems, one on both ends if you're an opposing offense, and that's how you can close games. That's how you can win games. Because I think LSU's going to cover pretty well in the secondary, but if you can get pressure off the edge with your down linemen, it changes everything, and it can win you games late. And LSU just didn't do that really well last year. I think they can this year. I'm recalling the Clemson game last year where they sent Perkins on that blitz to finish it on the 4th down, where Klubnik kind of had to almost throw it away. You need more plays like that, and you've got some guys that can do it, and Mielon and potentially Ross, and then whatever depth develops behind them, I'm curious to see. So that's a look at LSU at the defensive end spot. As I mentioned on Friday with defensive tackle, I've got some questions. I won't go as far as say concerns. I've got some questions about LSU on the defensive line. The talent appears to be there, but the production needs to follow. And so we'll just have to see how LSU manages from that perspective. We're here on Radio Row in Tampa. We're presented by FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake. We're presented by Parish Construction and Roofing, as well as Relief Windows and Rev Fiber. My Monday shows are brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. We'll take a time out. Come back with more. It's Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com. That's FabryChevrolet.com. Chevy's offering bonus cash on select new vehicles to firefighters, police officers, 911 dispatchers, and EMT paramedics. They've got inventory to fit any budget, offering that bonus cash as well. And as I mentioned back in hour number 1, Chevy's offering 0% APR financing for 5 years on the 2026 Silverado 1500s, plus no monthly payments for 90 days if you get by there before August August 3rd. 3 months with no payment is a nice way to drive off the lot in a brand new ride. Check out the inventory. It's all there at FabryChevrolet.com. You can search by new vehicles. You can search by pre-owned vehicles. You can search by mileage, price, make, and model. Whatever your specifications are, they've got you covered over there at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. They're on Highway 61 in St. Francisville, or stop online at FabryChevrolet.com.
Live from the 2026 SEC Football Media Days in Tampa. Presented by Parish Construction and Roofing. FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake. Relief Windows. And Rev Fiber.
Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If you see a small crack in your bathtub or in your shower, don't just leave it. That's the mistake that David Duvall sees all the time. And then you let water damage get places you really don't want it, and it gets really expensive. If you see an imperfection in your bathtub, in your shower, don't just let it rest. Call David Duvall, One Bath and Closets. Let them come in. The last thing you want is for water to get into the walls, into the floors, into the ceilings of the lower stories. And then you've got a significant repair that's got to be done based on what looked like a minor inconvenience. So if you see something like that, make that call to David. When we met with him a couple weeks ago, he said that's the mistake that people make so often, is they just don't take it seriously when there's a small crack somewhere in the bathtub or shower. So make sure you do that and call David at One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com. All right, not the most technically savvy move we're about to pull here, as Rivers films me try to do this, but Josh Heupel was asked a question today in the television room about LSU's visit to Knoxville, Lane Kiffin coming back. And obviously, when Lane Kiffin went back to Knoxville as the head coach at Ole Miss, things got crazy. They're throwing mustard bottles, they're throwing golf balls, they're all over the place. And the question was asked, like, do you think that your fan base has cooled off to Lane Kiffin? Because he's obviously going to get it pretty bad in Oxford. And Josh Heupel gave what I thought was a pretty funny answer to the Lane Kiffin question. Here's Josh Heupel.
Certainly hope our fan base hasn't cooled off. So, whether it's the grocery stores being fully stocked with mustard, or our sports stores making sure that they got reinforcements on the golf balls. Hopefully, Knoxville's ready for his arrival.
Classic stuff there. Tongue firmly planted in cheek there for Josh Heupel, who's got to make sure they're stocked up with the mustard bottles. That's going to be a fascinating game for LSU. It's the most difficult road game outside of Oxford on the schedule. And I just don't know what to make of Tennessee with a quarterback controversy and a remade defense with a new coordinator. We talked about it in hour number one. They're going to be an interesting test case. They took a step back last year. What is LSU going to get into when they get up there in November? LSU's first trip to Knoxville since 2017, when LSU takes on the Vols coming up in November. I also went through a little bit of an interesting exercise yesterday in preparation for this. I want to be very clear to y'all. We understand what this week is. It's an opportunity for us to talk some football. It's an opportunity for us to see some people we haven't seen since maybe last year at this time. It's an opportunity for us to have some great guests. Chase Daniels on a little bit earlier. I know Matt's got a full show locked in later on today. But as far as like prognostications, projections, we don't know. And I'm not here to tell you that we do. Like, anybody can say anything. I don't think anybody saw Vanderbilt coming a couple of years ago. I think you can be relatively safe in suggesting that Georgia's going to be pretty damn good. I think it'd be reasonable to suggest Texas got a pretty talented squad. But we don't know. But I took the opportunity yesterday for LouisianaSports.net to give some projections on what I think the media will think about LSU come Thursday. We'll get the results of the preseason All-SEC reaction. And again, that's not worth the paper it's printed on. Obviously, it's just a bunch of opinions down here in July. But I think that it will give an indication as to what people think about Lane Kiffin's first team in Baton Rouge and give us a basis. So I project that LSU is going to be picked somewhere in the neighborhood of 5th. That's what I wrote for LouisianaSports.net. Texas and Georgia are going to be the two darlings here. Bama always has a pretty strong contingent. I think that the people will think a lot of them. I feel like a lot of people are pretty high on Texas A&M. That seems to be a pretty trendy pick because Elko's running that defense and their quarterback is back. They do have to replace the entire offensive line, so there are some question marks there with Texas A&M, but I think people do like Texas A&M. And then LSU's like kind of in a group that's in there lumped in. You got Tennessee, you got Ole Miss, you got LSU, got Oklahoma. That's kind of that middle group that's behind Texas and Georgia, probably Alabama, maybe Texas A&M. So I'll say that LSU's picked 5th. Wouldn't surprise me if they were 6th. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if they were 3rd. But I would probably put them closer to 4th, which is right there on the playoff bubble. But I made picks for the all-SEC teams. They named 3 teams. And I've got 3 guys that I think will be first-team preseason all-SEC picks by the media. Whit Weeks is pretty obvious selection. Jordan Seaton, I think, is a pretty obvious selection. There is a great tackle over there at Texas, too, but I think Seaton will be a first-team pick. And I have to imagine that Trey'Dez Green will be a first-team pick. He's going to be here, which helps. You got a guy that comes. That is a name that will jump off the sheet when you're voting. And he's just a freak of nature. So I think that those are my 3 that I think will be first-team picks. I've got 4 guys that I think that will make the second team. Ty Benefield, who I would vote first team. I think he's going to be a star for LSU this year, and we talked about that a lot. DJ Pickett, who had a nice freshman season last year, was a famous recruit, so I think he'll get some name recognition. I've got him in there. I've got TJ Daugherty, who led the SEC in sacks. I think I've got him as a second-team pick, as well as Prince William Miellen. I've got him as a second-team pick as well. So Benefield, Pickett, Daugherty, and Uman Miellen. Incidentally, all those guys on the defensive side of the football I've got as potential second-teamers. And then on the third team, I've got Sam Leavitt at quarterback. I think he'll be behind Arch Manning and Trinidad Chambliss. I think he's next on that list. There are some other good quarterbacks, obviously, in the Southeastern Conference. I think that Auburn's quarterback is going to get some love there, but I think Leavitt will probably trump him. So I think I've got Leavitt as the third-team pick. And Braylon Moore just had a nice year last year when he was healthy, and I think is a veteran, a returning starter, and that's a guy that I think some people will give some votes to. So that's my projection here for the LSU guys. Whit Weeks, Jordan Seaton, Trey'Dez Green on the first team. 2 of those guys will be here at SC Media Days, Whit Weeks and Trey'Dez Green. Ty Benefield, DJ Pickett, TJ Daugherty, Prince William Miellen on the second team, Sam Leavitt and Braylon Moore on the third team. Maybe I missed a player here or there, but that's just kind of my thought on this. I'm curious. This is kind of our first day. Everybody's getting their bearings. Some people arrived today. Some people are setting up today. There's a lot of logistical issues going on today that people. But as the week progresses, we'll have a lot more conversations with people. And I'm just I'm curious what people think about LSU. What is evidenced is that LSU is going to wear the black hat because you got Lane Kiffin. Nobody thinks he should have left Ole Miss in a playoff run. People generally don't love Lane Kiffin in the national media. So I think LSU is going to wear the black hat here, but that's not the more important thing. The more important thing is, are they any good? And I think there's a real chance that LSU does have a really good team, but it's going to be one of those deals you got to come out running because you're going to start with Clemson and Ole Miss and Texas A&M in the first 4 weeks of the season, which is quite a heavy lift for Lane Kiffin in year 1 in Baton Rouge. Moving right along here, brought to you by FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Parish Construction, Roofing, Relief Windows, and Reb Fiverr. Our Monday show is brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions as well. Let's step aside. We got 40 minutes or so to go here from Radio Row on this Monday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about my friends over at Marucci. It's really hot outside right now, and it rains just about every afternoon. So it can be difficult to get some swings in if you don't have a place to go. And if you're a member at Marucci, you will have a place to go. You have key card access 24/7 to their batting cages. So if you've got a youth baseball player, youth softball player under your roof that has trouble either beating the heat or the rain to try to get those swings in, well, go to the indoor cage at Marucci. Awesome spot to work on your game. Such a gem in Baton Rouge. Really, you can take a tour. Learn where the official bat of Major League Baseball is made. They make 1,200 of them every single day. Ship those out to the best players in the world. You can learn their story and take a tour of the facility over there at Marucci. The website's maruccisports.com. That's maruccisports.com.
Do you know how many tax resolution firms have been forced to close because they were taking advantage of people or have gone out of business? It happens all the time. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. As a matter of fact, they're national tax relief companies that are currently under court orders to cease operations. So if you have IRS issues, do not fall for the threats and scare tactics of the national so-called tax relief companies. The Bryson Law Firm has been doing this for decades. We have a AAA BBB rating, and our entire focus is IRS problems and tax liability issues. An IRS problem is a legal problem. Let the Bryson Law Firm help you get relief the right way. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Don't put it off any longer. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit BrysonLawFirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Bryson Law Firm, LSB filing number LA2519684.
Putting off going to the dentist doesn't make it go away. Hood Dental makes it easier with 5 locations, over 3,000 5-star reviews, and care that actually feels comfortable. New patients get a healthy gums cleaning for just $89, plus a free exam and full mouth x-ray. Schedule online at hooddentalcare.com.
I'm Mariah Butcher, nurse practitioner with Rejuven Medical. If you feel like your progress has stalled, peptide therapy at Rejuven Medical helps you go further. Better recovery, metabolism, and energy built around your plan. Find us at rejuvenmemedical.com.
In today's world, reliable energy isn't optional. It's essential. That's where Generac Industrial Energy leads the way. From generation to storage and distribution, our connected solutions are built to power critical infrastructure and keep businesses running. We don't do one-size-fits-all. We engineer custom energy systems designed around your needs with seamless integration and unmatched support. Generac Industrial Energy. Energy for everything. Contact Arco Power Systems in Louisiana today. Learn more at arco.com.
Bring your backyard to life with a pool from Renaissance. Known for custom craftsmanship and one-on-one attention, Renaissance Home and Pools turns your vision into reality. Owner Joey Blanchard brings 20 years experience and cutting-edge 3D designs, so you'll know exactly what to expect every step of the way, from the first sketch to your first swim. Renaissance delivers pools built to inspire and to have fun in. Visit builtbyrenaissance.com and let your backyard renaissance begin.
The Baton Rouge Children's Advocacy Center invites you to the 20th annual Celebrity Waiter event on Wednesday, July 22nd at L'Auberge. Enjoy a fun-filled evening with celebrity servers and a silent auction with more than 100 incredible items. It's all about supporting local children impacted by abuse, trafficking, and violent crime. This year's Roaring 20s theme encourages costumes, so dress to impress. Sponsorships and tickets are available. Learn more and reserve your spot at BatonRougeCAC.org.
Live from the 2026 SEC Football Media Days in Tampa. Presented by FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Relief Windows, Rev Fiber, and Parrish Construction and Roofing.
Tampa, Florida, SEC Media Days 2026, official kickoff of football season. Greg Sankey addressed the ballroom early this morning. He was followed by Brent Venables from Oklahoma, Eli Drinkwitz from Missouri, then Will Stein from Kentucky, wrapping things up with Josh Heupel and Tennessee here on this Monday. LSU's day will be on Thursday. Generally speaking, LSU leads things off, but they wanted to kind of keep some meat on the bone late in the week, so to say. So they're going to put Steve Sarkisian, Arch Manning, and Lane Kiffin on Thursday, and that will probably keep some people around, if we're being honest. We'll certainly be here for all of it, thanks to our friends at FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Parrish Construction and Roofing, as well as Relief Windows and Rev Fiber. The two teams that I have not discussed at all today are two teams that LSU does not play. Of course, the last 2 seasons, LSU has finished with Oklahoma, the home team, winning both of those games in both very ugly fashion. But LSU will not play Oklahoma this year. LSU will not play Missouri this year. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Oklahoma. I did not realize until someone asked Brent Venables this in the ballroom. He's the oldest coach in the SEC. 55 years old, which is not old at all. But for years, you've had some guys that are a little bit older. Of course, Saban coached all the way until he was 70. But it's a young crowd in the Southeastern Conference. Every coach 55 or younger. Brent Venables saved his job last year. That's my opinion. I mean, you look at that program and the level of success they enjoyed in the Bob Stoops era and the Lincoln Riley era, both in the Big 12, there was an expectation that you were going to maintain that. And it's just very difficult to do in the Southeastern Conference. They were just wrecking people in the Big 12 for decades. Like they were just dominating that league. There just wasn't anybody that could stand up to Oklahoma, especially considering that Texas kind of lost its way there for a good bit after Mac Brown stepped down. So it was just child's play for Oklahoma for a long time. And then you come over to the SEC and you've got a new coach, and it can be difficult. And they were atrocious on offense 2 years ago, just absolutely awful. And they tried to fix that with Arbuckle coming over from Washington State and John Mateer, and it certainly looked like they had it fixed early on. I mean, they came out and played really well against Michigan, beat them by 2 scores, a 24-13 game. They routed Temple, and then they beat Auburn, crushed Kent State, scored 44 points, and that's the point where John Mateer gets hurt, hurts his hand, and misses some time. He came back too quickly. You remember the scene where he's got blood all over his pants because it's ripped open, and he just did not play well the rest of the season after coming back from that injury. They scored 6 points against Texas. They did not play well offensively or defensively against Ole Miss in a loss. Then they found it. And they found it late in the season, beating Tennessee and Alabama on the road. And that's the point, I think, where Brent Venables saved his job. Because if they lose those 2 games and maybe lose to LSU at the end, like, he's going to be out of a gig. But instead, they finished 10-2 and make the college football playoff. And they got a lead on Alabama last year and couldn't hold it. Just absolutely buckled on their home field in the college football playoff. Now, this team is going to be led by John Mateer again. And I'll be honest, like, I don't know what to make of John Mateer. Like, it's as far as the returning players go, the guy that I just have the worst feel on. Like, Trinidad Chambliss has to deal with a new offensive coordinator, but I still think he's going to play really good football as a returning starting quarterback. Mateer, it was good early, but was that because they were playing not so great teams? I don't know. But he's got Isaiah Satania back on the outside, got a couple of offensive linemen back, and they're gonna run it back with John Mateer. Defensively, I trust Brent Venables. I think he is really, really good. I've told this story a lot of times. From sitting in my seat in the Superdome in the January 2020, the 2019 championship team, when he was the coordinator for Clemson, what he was able to do in the first quarter of that game to Joe Burrow and to the LSU offensive line was noticeably different than any game LSU played that season. They had LSU confused a little bit. The field position played a big role in that, obviously. LSU was pinned in the shadow of their own goalposts a couple times early in that game. But the disguised blitzes were just incredible from Brent Venables' defense. And he's brought that now to Oklahoma, and they're really good on D. They were fantastic last year. They lose our Mason Thomas, who was a second-round pick. Taylor Wine, who is here today, was really good. He is back. He had 7 sacks and 15 TFLs last year, so he'll come back. Their top 2 tacklers for a year ago are back in Kip Lewis and Owen Heineke. So this is once again going to be a really good defensive team with Brent Venables calling the shots and with some key returners back off that unit. The question with Oklahoma is, what do they get from Mateer in this offense? Is it the pre-injury Mateer? Is it the post-injury Mateer? Can they throw the ball around a little bit? That remains to be seen, and I think it's fascinating. You look at Oklahoma's schedule. 3 of their first 5 games are away from Norman against powerful brands. They start with UTEP, which I don't care about that, but then they're at Michigan in the next game. Then they got New Mexico, and then at Georgia, Texas in the Cotton Bowl. So at Michigan, at Georgia, and Texas in the Cotton Bowl are 3 of their first 5 games. That is a ridiculous gauntlet away from home early in the season that they're going to have to wade through. If they can do that, like LSU, they get a bit of a reprieve in the middle because you got Kentucky coming to Norman, you're at Mississippi State, and you've got South Carolina coming to Norman, and you're at Florida. I don't think any of those teams have super high expectations at this point. So that's because LSU, y'all know, you start with the craziness that's Clemson right out of the gate, and then you got Ole Miss in week 3 and A&M in week 4. But then you hit that lull where you're going to play Auburn, you're going to play Mississippi State, you're going to play Kentucky, you're going to play some teams you can beat before you ramp back up with Bama and Texas and Tennessee late. This is the same thing with Oklahoma because they get that stretch of Kentucky, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Florida before they finish with Ole Miss and Texas A&M and then Missouri. But Ole Miss and A&M are both coming to Norman. For the second year in a row, Ole Miss going to Norman, and they'll rekindle that old conference rivalry with Texas A&M in late November. This is a schedule that I don't think Oklahoma is going to navigate unless they really step things up offensively. And if they really step things up offensively, I think they're a potential threat, not to win the league, but to be an outside chance at a college football playoff team. But I just don't see it. I think they're going to lose at Georgia. I think they're going to lose to Texas. I think they're going to lose to Ole Miss, and they may lose to Texas A&M. It looks like a four-loss team to me. Which would be a bit of a step back from last year's college football playoff run by the Oklahoma Sooners. As far as Missouri goes, we were talking to Chase Daniel earlier in the show, and he is saying basically it kind of all hinges on the quarterback play there. And you got Austin Simmons, who just did not play very well last year in those 2 quick starts before Trinidad Chambliss won the job for Lane Kiffin in Oxford. He turned the ball over too much, had 4 interceptions in the first 2 games. He's a great athlete. He's really bright. He's got kind of the skill set that you're looking for, but it didn't translate early. So we'll see if they can find something at Missouri. They're always a little bit better than I want to give them credit for. That's just the way Missouri has generally played. They lost some close games last year. Missouri did. They started 5-0, but then they lost to Bama by 3, lost at Auburn in a 6-point game, lost to Vanderbilt by 7. A&M trounced them, but they lost a really low-scoring, ugly game against Oklahoma. But they were in games. Eli Drinkwitz has Missouri as a pretty feisty little team. They're not a threat to be a conference champion. They're not a threat to win a national championship, but they're a threat on Saturdays. They're a threat on Saturdays. And last year, they just found themselves on the wrong end of close games too often. And that's the difference between having a 9-3 season or a 7-5 season. And that's kind of what you had. I haven't spent a lot of time on Missouri, candidly, because LSU doesn't play them, and I find Missouri to be kind of boring. But the interesting note that I saw in one of the preview pieces I was reading about Missouri is that they don't have a single returning defensive starter. That's really hard to do, to not have a single starter on the defense back. They've got a lot coming back on offense, 4 offensive starters on the offensive line. The other offseason storyline around Missouri, unfortunately, was the shooting of Ahmad Hardy. He was at a country concert and somehow ended up getting shot. I don't know all the details to that, but it was in his upper leg. Eli Drinkwitz updated his status today, said that today was kind of the first day of real recovery for him. He's expected to make a full recovery, but they're just not speculating on football for Hardy right now. They think it's going to be a full recovery, so that would suggest to me that he's got a good chance to play football at some point. I just don't know if that's week 1 for Missouri. I don't know if that's week 8 for Missouri. I don't know if that's next year. I don't have a lot of experience with gunshot recoveries in football players. So that's where Ahmad Hardy is. The great news is that he is okay. Great news is that he's expected to make a full recovery, but he's a big piece to what they do offensively. He's a great tailback. And without him, it changes the fabric of what they do on offense and probably puts some more pressure on Austin Simmons, which at this point we don't really know exactly what it is that Austin Simmons is. So Missouri, schedule-wise, will open with Arkansas Pine Bluff. They're at Kansas in their Power 5 game. Then they've got Troy and at Mississippi State. So a soft beginning to Missouri's schedule, but it really cranks up once you get to October. They got Florida, Texas A&M, at Ole Miss, at Arkansas, Texas, at Georgia, then Kentucky and Oklahoma. They've got a stretch of games from October the 10th to November the 14th, so a month and a week, where they've got Texas A&M, at Ole Miss, at Arkansas, Texas, and Georgia. That's just too much for Missouri to navigate here. That schedule to me screams a team that's going to be fighting at that 6-6 mark. That's probably me once again disrespecting and underestimating Missouri, which I probably do every July and probably will do every July moving forward until they just absolutely prove me wrong. But I don't trust them against that schedule. Drinkwitz is a good coach, but it's a completely overhauled defense. It's an unproven quarterback, and it's a schedule in the month of October that is an absolute nightmare. So I'm not buying a lot of Missouri stock this fall, but hey, that's in great supply. So just a thought on the Missouri Tigers as we continue to chug along here from SEC Football Media Days in Tampa. We're brought to you by FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake. We're brought to you by Parish Construction and Roofing, Relief Windows, and Rev Fiber. We'll step aside, come back, one segment left to go. It's a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com. SwingEasyGCBR.com. Major season is over. Open Championship in the rearview mirror from yesterday, but that doesn't mean golf season's over. It's a great time to get by Swing Easy and work on your game. They got great technology in there that allows you to see the flight of your ball, that allows you to see your swing speed, see your ball speed, see your spin, see your carry distance. You can also see the slow-mo impact of your golf ball and your golf club, so you can see where you're making contact with the ball. It's incredibly useful for scratch players. It's incredibly useful for beginners. So if you're looking for a place in a controlled environment, out of the heat, out of the rain, to work on your game, Swing Easy Golf Club is a great place to do it. They're on Segan at Perkins. You can find them online at swingeasygcbr.com, swingeasygcbr.com. Our Monday show is always brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Rachel Fricke and her team just done an amazing job growing Guarantee Health Solutions. 12 states, more than 24 partnerships at this point. They've managed over 1 million patients in the last year. And for those in the healthcare world, you know how important that Net Promoter Score is. They raised one from a 65 to a 90 in just 3 months. They are difference makers at Guarantee Health Solutions. They're operational experts. They've got a full assessment of a patient journey through your medical practice. What does your brand look like online? That's a question that they'll often ask. How many clicks to care? Do you take care of your website? Do you deal with digital advertising? What's the experience like for patients through your practice? If it's not something you've considered, check in with Guarantee Health Solutions. You can find them at GuaranteeHealth.com. They're online at GuaranteeHealth.com. It's Guarantee Health Solutions. They bring you our Monday shows each and every week. I want to squeeze this in while we have a couple of minutes here. It is a local angle to a global story. Sam Burns had a 2-shot lead entering the final day of the Open Championship, wrapped up yesterday from Royal Birkdale. And Sam got off to a great start. He parred 1 and then made a great birdie on 2. And you felt like he had a real chance to get his first major championship. And he just could not get out of neutral after that. 3 consecutive bogeys, played a little bit of volleyball on one of the holes, chipped it over the back of the green, then chipped it back too far. Just did not have what he needed on the second 9. Didn't make a bogey on the second 9, didn't make a birdie either. Just needed to find one, and that course got drier, firmer, faster, and he just didn't quite have the goods. And credit to Ryan Fox. He absolutely ran it down. Cam Young came from way off the pace, which we saw guys do every single day. Burns a 62 back on Friday came in the early wave, which was the easiest wave because the course retained a little bit of moisture and the wind was down in the mornings. And so Cam Young was able to go get a low score posted. He sat there for 2 hours and let the rest of the guys finish. But for Fox to go out there and to birdie that 18th hole that was giving players fits all week, and for him to pump it down the fairway, to knock it up there to 10 feet or so, and then to make the putt was absolutely amazing. And I thought it was such a great quote from Ryan Fox afterward that he doesn't know how he made the putt. But it was so relatable because you think about the nerves that you think you would have if you were put in that position. And Fox had those, and he jarred that putt. It's disappointing for Sam, who put himself in position on 2 different occasions this year to get that first major championship. And he just could not get it done yesterday. Shoots a 72 in the final round and finishes with 3rd. As I said after the U.S. Open, like, Sam's game is good enough to win a major championship. It's just a matter of getting it done. It's hard to beat everybody in the field. It's relatively hard to get a top 10, a top 5, but those come in bunches it's just really difficult to win one. And Sam's got the game. I think he's going to do it. As I said on Friday, the best way to win one is to knock on that door and finally get to the finish line. I thought it was going to be yesterday. I thought he was going to win the golf tournament and just didn't quite get there. So bummer for Shreveport's Sam Burns, LSU Tigers Sam Burns, not quite enough to get to the finish line and get that first major championship. Winding things down here, just to catch up on tomorrow's schedule. In the morning wave tomorrow, we will hear from Auburn and Georgia. So you'll have new head coach Alex Golish and Auburn coming through. You'll also have Kirby Smart and Georgia. And then the afternoon wave, it'll be South Carolina and Vanderbilt. LSU only plays Auburn of the 4 teams that go tomorrow. So it's actually a deal where we'll have a lot more information of a lot of the teams LSU will play this year in LSU on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. A little bit more juice, I would suggest, to tomorrow's action. I think that Auburn is interesting with a new head coach. They're just trying to get it out of neutral. I was looking at the 5-year running standings in the Southeastern Conference when we were on the plane yesterday, and I was stunned is not the right word, because I know that Auburn hasn't been very good and they're firing coaches on like a yearly basis there. But for Auburn to be bunched down there at the bottom of the league over a 5-year run is just something I didn't think that you would see, and you have. They haven't gotten it figured out since Gus Malzahn left. So we'll see if Alex Golish is that guy. LSU, of course, make the trip to Jordan-Hare for an 11 o'clock kickoff in Auburn when that time comes. But LSU will not play Georgia this year, will not play South Carolina this year, will not play Vanderbilt this year. So not a lot of local flavor on that, but certainly looking forward to the day to come as we crank things up on Tuesday. Wednesday's schedule will be Alabama, Florida, Ole Miss, and A&M. LSU plays 3 of those 4. LSU does not play Florida this year, but they do play Alabama, do play Ole Miss, do play Texas A&M. So that'll be a big day. And then, of course, as we mentioned earlier, on Thursday, it's LSU and Arkansas in the morning and Mississippi State and Texas to close things up in the afternoon. Our coverage all week long brought to you by FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Parish Construction and Roofing, Relief Windows, and Rev Fiber. All right, I got one more order of business to go. Let's play a little Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so entering his 3rd year in the NFL, Atlanta Falcons quarterback Michael Penix is reportedly facing questions about his future with the team. So the Athletic's Josh Kendall painted a bleak outlook for Penix's chances to earn a long-term contract with the Falcons. He said, and I quote, he has 12 starts, 4 wins, and 2 300-yard games and a 59% completion percentage for his career. Fair or not, the decision clock is ticking on his future. Kendall stated so far, Penix has done nothing to justify picking up a 5th-year option or long-term deal. So is it already time to start the clock for Michael Penix? Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I mean,
I'll take it.
It's an instant gratification league. You don't see a lot of guys that you wait for 3 years worth of seasoning. I mean, Jaden Daniels took over in Washington. They were in the NFC title game in 5 seconds. Things happen quickly. Bo Nix and his team, I mean, they're right there knocking on the door of the Super Bowl last year before he got hurt in the playoffs. I mean, you had a young quarterback in New England that gets to the, things have to happen quickly. And we're kind of looking for that in New Orleans now with Tyler Shuck, and obviously they're looking for that in Atlanta with Michael Penix, and if they don't see it, they're just going to go with Tua.
All right, so Cam Scottaboo went viral this weekend. Not for anything good, unfortunately, but that's kind of typical for Cam Scottaboo at this point. So he went viral Saturday when he attempted to do a backflip as a Fanatics appearance, a WWE style, and he fell. He got up, played it off, but Scottaboo is still recovering from a broken ankle that's sidelined him basically the rest of his rookie year. So is Scottaboo off the rails? Take it or leave it. Or leave it.
I mean, you take that. You take
I'll
that
take
all
it.
day long.
That
guy's an absolute lunatic. I think it's in kind of an endearing way most of the time. But if I'm, with the Giants and I've got a guy that I've invested a draft pick in that's got a hurt ankle that's doing WWE backflips, I'm probably not thrilled about that. If we're being quite honest, I think that's not exactly what they're looking for. There are clauses in people's contracts that say you can't do stuff like that. Obviously, this is not the case for him, but he's a bit of a nut. There's no question about that.
Yeah, he's definitely a nut, and I think Harbaugh definitely hit his phone up, had to have a conversation with him. So you're gonna like this one, Hunt. We'll end this one off with this: a Canadian-based technology company that supply Live Golf Any Shot, Anytime features during its broadcast has sued the league for more than $1 million for outstanding and unpaid invoices and lost revenue. Moby Systems Group filed a lawsuit in U.S. District Court in Miami on Friday. So is there any saving Live Golf's PR at this point? Take it or leave it.
Leave it. No doubt about that.
Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
It's a disaster, and it's going to fold eventually. When you take away the money, you obviously take away the viability of the league, and Saudis back the money out, and that's the only reason that the league exists. So it's gonna go up in smoke, and I'm just fine with that. Let's get everybody back together playing golf. Look, Bryson was there for one tournament this weekend, and it goes electric. He needs to be playing with the best players in the world, not in YouTube or on some hit and giggle and live. So that day is coming. I just hope it comes rather quickly. So that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Monday. Brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. There was one bit of news that I just saw just a few minutes ago, so I wanted to touch on that. Mason Belding was a member of LSU baseball's signing class. He's a catcher from California, and he has switched his commitment to Nevada. This is something that LSU did see coming. It's part of the situation with the roster, the way that they have it. Their numbers are fine. They're not going to be over. I don't think you're going to see cuts at Christmas time. They knew that there were some guys that they were going to look elsewhere with, and Belding was one of those in this signing class. He's a good player. I actually spoke to somebody about him 3 weeks ago, and said, yeah, he's a good player, but we'll see what kind of the future holds. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall there on that. So Mason Belding, high school catcher, will head to Nevada, not to LSU, and that kind of gives you an indication of the situation there. It's not like he's transferring to Tennessee or Arkansas. He's headed to Nevada. So Mason Belding will not be in LSU's class for baseball moving forward. No other super breaking news. Javen Coleman did get promoted to AAA, which I saw. Paul Skeens had a heck of a go yesterday in his return to action, and it was great to see Tommy White back on Friday night get his first major league hit. That's something we talked about yesterday. It was really cool for Jay Johnson to be able to fly out to Sacramento to see Tommy White's debut with Gage jump on the mound, and then Dylan Cruz playing for the other team. Gage was okay, came out of the game after 4 innings, and then the bullpen got absolutely annihilated. I think the A's gave up 23 runs in that game, but Tommy did get a hit late, lined a double into the gap in left center field. So great to see for Tommy Tanks getting off to a great start with his big league career, and hopefully it's a very, very long one. That was a really, really good team that LSU had. And as I mentioned back on Friday, Nick Kurtz, who was hurt for the Wake Forest LSU game that was the Louder Skeens game. He's off to an unbelievable start in his Major League Baseball career, and he and Tommy White will be in the middle of that A's order here moving forward. So good stuff all around from LSU in the professional baseball ranks. You can read all our coverage all week long on LouisianaSports.net. Chris Marlar's writing some updates on the SEC scores. I'm taking the LSU angle on things as well. That's all free. And Ross Jackson's got it all covered on LouisianaSports.net for the New Orleans Saints, who are 8 days away from reporting for camp. So football season is knocking on the door. We're here for SEC Football Media Days, and the Saints are 8 days away from their first training camp practice. So it's finally here. Longer summer than most for us with no baseball on the front end in June, but we are getting there to the end of it, and thrilled to be here in Tampa. It's all courtesy of our friends at FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Parish Construction and Roofing, Relief Windows, and Rev Fiber. Listening to the show today, open things up, talking about Greg Sankey's initial remarks to the media, talking about the SEC Championship game, what the future holds for that event, if there is one. So I talked a little bit about that. And could the SEC break away? Have they had those talks? Greg Sankey confirmed they have today. So that was something that we touched on top of the show as well. We broke down the Tennessee Vols and the Kentucky Wildcats, 2 teams that LSU will see this year. Chase Daniel, former Saint, was good enough to give us a little bit of time at the end of hour number 1. Really enjoyed our sit down. He'll be with SEC Nation moving forward. So great to chat with him. Our in-depth series with defensive end today talked about Prince William Monmiel and Jordan Ross, Lamar Brown, and that crew. You can catch that at Hunt on LSU. Broke down Oklahoma and Missouri as well with a little thought on Sam Burns and golf. It's all on demand. Search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, review. Hunt on LSU for your LSU coverage.
The Hunt Palmer Show. Hunt Palmer Show.
Never quite get that hard out, but there it is. We're about done. Let me remind you one more time about our friends at the Highland Insurance Group. They're online at HighlandIG.com. That's HighlandIG.com. Jonathan Carver and his team are awesome folks to deal with when it comes to the benefits game. We know that people are hurting, businesses are hurting. It's expensive to deal with healthcare. We know. But you can look at a second option. Make sure that your employees are covered. Make sure their families are covered with their health care, their dental, their vision. Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Highland Insurance Group are happy to help you with that. Now, they're not a magic bullet, and I can't promise you they're going to save you 12% right off the top, but they can give you another option. If you've had a bad renewal, an unpleasant renewal, or you have one coming up and you want a second set of eyes for your group and employee benefits, contact Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. They're online at highlandig.com. They're based out of Baton Rouge, can help you out statewide. It's the Highland Insurance Group. They're online at highlandig.com.